Alrighty then. Look, there's not going to be a whole lot of editing in this video, so feel free to take your phone and slide it into your back pocket, or just put me on the other screen while you play Marvel Rivals, or do whatever you do when a new sexy Nerf Pool video comes out. As I'm sitting here in my beautiful studio, I started thinking to myself, there's been a lot of negativity in the game, nobody can deny, but are we as creators fueling some of this? I started thinking about this now that the season is resetting. It's a moment to just do a post-mortem on Season 2 and 2.5, and now we're entering July and we're born again with new energy to tackle this motherfucker of a game. There's been recent drama, I suppose, or some topics which, if you have a YouTube account and you're watching a lot of Marvel Rivals content, your YouTube homepage is probably blocked up with a bunch of content about the game dying. And that's the latest topic. Months ago, it was EOMM and the game being rigged, and you know how games are, this goes through motions. As I've consumed some of those videos out of curiosity on the topic and also did my own research to the side, I started to recognize that the community narrative really matters, especially when we're thinking about this topic of toxicity. Yes, toxicity can come from the player base, but then if the content creators that are putting their voices and their faces and their masks out there take that negativity and then shape it and mold it into actual content, in many ways, it makes it real. Even if it's not. Community narrative is a really important thing for video games these days in this social media frenzied environment that we've all built. If we as creators decided tomorrow to form some weird hive mind and cover the game in only the most positive and bubblegum ways, I guarantee you that's going to shift a lot of the community sentiment around the game. And conversely, or inversely, whatever, if we decided to completely dog on this game for the next 3 months, we could practically kill it. Part of the reason why I'm making this video is to remind content creators of any size that your voice matters. You hold a lot of power. I don't care if you have 10 subscribers or 10 million subscribers. You carry a community within you, and it is your responsibility to respect that community and its intelligence by giving it content that's not clickbaity and overly sensationalized. You have to do everything with integrity, objectivity, honesty, rooted in your very own opinions, but just done in a very ethical and good way. Because that way, you are an actual value add to the community that we're all trying to build, specifically around Marvel Rivals and largely around video games. I'm not saying that you need to look at everything with rose-tinted glasses on and shoot rainbows out of every orifice that you have and just take every negative thing that's happening in the game and spin it into a positive. Absolutely not. That would deteriorate my previous point about integrity and honesty. What I am trying to say is that when a topic comes along like EOMM and the matchmaking or the declining player base on Steam, you treat that carefully and with a lot of respect. Just because the matchmaking is potentially built in a certain way doesn't automatically mean that the game is rigged. And just because SteamDB is all red right now with a bunch of minuses and the player count has been steadily reducing doesn't mean the game is automatically dead or dying. So, because content creators do have power and their voices do matter, if they go out there and sensationalize these things and clickbait them, it's going to attract that kind of lower denominator kind of audience. And those people congregate in those comment sections and then bring that toxic dump mentality back into the game, which then feeds back into Reddit and the social media platforms, and on we go. The lack of integrity in covering topics which are pretty sensitive and in some ways complicated is really worrying me. The way that these topics are covered only amplifies negativity. It doesn't build a knowledge base around the topics, which are actually quite complicated when you really think about it. It just makes it more toxic and in many ways spreads misinformation. As a result, all of this clickbaity, not researched crap actively harms the community and drives some players away because it confirms these beliefs that they may have themselves. Our advantage as content creators is that we can go out there and tell the story, the actual story of what this player decline means or what EOMM means or anything else that we choose to. We can inform, we can educate, we can influence the community for the better, not for worse. All of these topics and others, right? Let's take it out of EOMM and the game supposedly dying. They're covered in such a black and white, non-complex, oversimplified way, and it actually harms the community and the community's understanding of the topics. And all of this fuels another thing, which is the feedback loop of hell that we're all dealing with. Here's how it goes. Number one, the audience itself expresses some frustration or some negativity that they're feeling, typically on social media platforms, and it typically happens on Reddit, on Facebook, and then within chats on Twitch and other streaming platforms, as well as comment sections on YouTube. Those are real things. It's just how people feel. This game can get people to be very emotional, right? So you can lose a match and get really frustrated for a variety of reasons, and then go out and just spill on those social media platforms. As they're doing that, content creators like me and others are just looking for content. It's a hard thing to do. Sometimes you're just creatively stuck, so you're always looking for the next thing that's going to get you views. So a lot of content creators just kind of hover over those threads like vultures, and they're looking for something to pick on. So the creators go out there and make that kind of content. And because they want to chuck it out quickly and they have to please the algorithm, they're not going to go out and do a ton of research and prepare and edit the video with really cool visuals and do all that work. No, they're just going to put something out there. They're going to put in a clickbaity title, some crazy ass thumbnail where they make a dumb face, and then hope for the best. Now, the same audience that they found this information from is going to look for this kind of content, and the way that these social media platforms work, they can actually suggest it because they're looking for negative shit to consume. And now they're going to click on it, of course, and they're going to see their own negative views validated by these YouTubers. And then that reinforces the toxicity. And guess what? What do you think is going to be in the comments? A bunch more toxicity. And oh boy, if anybody disagrees with them and actually sees things in a different way, good luck, buddy. Now they're actually going to flame each other and insult each other just like they do in the game. Now that they're riled up and negative and toxic, what do you think happens? They take the same attitude and bring it back into the game. And then on and on we go until they either make the game a living hell for everybody else in it, so those people uninstall, or become toxic themselves, or they bless us and uninstall it themselves and go and bother another community. But if they have nowhere to go, if they have really nice content, which is educating and objective and full of integrity and an actual positive value add to the topic and spurs a really intelligent discussion, that's a different story. And I guess it's unrealistic to expect that that's going to exist in today's YouTube and social media landscape, but I'm just saying, if I can breathe a little bit of sense into some of those content creators, I'll be happy. If you think this doesn't happen, here's some food for thought. The whole EOMM belief that the game is rigged has become very, very real. Some creators took that and made 1-hour videos just raging about how rigged it is and how it's gonna cause the death of the game, and that validates a lot of those thoughts. My role in this community was to just go out, do the work, sit down, record the video, edit it in a way that makes sense, and provide some educational information so people can make up their own mind about it. If you look at the comment section on that video, it's amazing for the most part. For 99% of it, it's a really good, healthy discussion with an audience that I'm so proud of because they're so smart, so educated, and they just back up their opinions regardless of what they are. And I felt like the discourse that we all created on this topic within that video was really, really healthy. I'm not saying that's the only way to do this and it's the right way to cover the topic, but based on the discussion in the comments, I felt like I achieved what I wanted, which is to just have everybody think and learn something. The other one is about this whole thing about the player base declining, and what that means, I don't know. I need to look for it myself and make up my own mind. But whatever it is, this belief that the game is dying, and the game is dying because of these other things like EOMM, is becoming calcified into the community. And there's typically some level of truth to it. I'm not saying that EOMM is a net positive for the game, and I'm not saying that the game losing players, which is factual, is a good thing for the game. But I'm saying there's always more nuance to these things that a lot of the YouTubers make it out to be. Luckily, there are really shining, great, positive examples of the way that this topic has been approached by some other creators. And one that I want to call out and spend a little bit of attention to is Cozy. I got to know Cozy's content from Marvel Snap, and I'm very glad that he then transitioned to Marvel Rivals. If you look at Cozy and everything that he's been doing over the last few years, Cozy is one of the most honest, genuine, incredibly hardworking, and massively talented content creators you're ever going to find. Cozy is a true value add to any gaming community that he chooses to be a part of. The amount of detail, attention, and love and passion and fun that he puts into what he does is addictive. As he was trying to build his Rivals channel once he built his Marvel Snap channel, it would have been so easy for him to go out and do some crazy dramatic things about various different topics about the game, but he didn't. And that's not because he's vanilla. Really, the only thing that's frosted about him are those cute little tips. If you look at the way that he covered the recent controversies with Marvel Snap, he was objective, he was honest. He just spoke from the heart, and none of it came with an agenda to get views or to spark up drama or anything like that. He genuinely cares about Marvel Snap, not just as a project for his YouTube channel. I think he genuinely loves the game and he appreciates what Second Dinner has done. And if Marvel Rivals ran into some similar controversial issues, I'm sure he would approach it the exact same way. Taking it out of Cozy, I've seen how Flats and Boger also covered this topic, and I was really impressed. These guys have been at this whole YouTube and streamer thing for a long time. They have nothing to prove to anybody. They've built their channels and their communities and their image online through honesty, not just through their gameplay. And through that honesty, the way that they're tackling all these topics is, again, with integrity, objectivity, and truth. It's almost like there's a clear pattern here. Every time you remove the weird motivations behind the video, and every time there's not a malicious, but you know, that thing where you're like, I'm gonna get some views, I'm gonna get some subscribers, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers. Every time that's there, it's caked into the video so much that you can just smell it through the thumbnail. And ultimately, that does a disservice to the audience that's actually looking for real answers and for real dialogue around this topic, because they themselves are wrestling with it too. The topics are real. It's where there's smoke, there's fire. But then the way they're covered and expanded really, really matters. Most importantly, creators like Cozy and Flats and Boger and many others understand that longevity is key. Why in the world would you want to cover a game negatively that you're actually playing and trying to cover? Don't you want that game to do well? Don't you want that game to make the mass amount of money it possibly can in an ethical way? Why would you purposely burn it by putting up that garbage that's not researched and not backed up and just opinions coming out of assholes? It doesn't make sense. If creators truly care about Marvel Rivals as a game, the audience that plays Marvel Rivals and the people that develop it, that it would be way smarter and really more rewarding for them long term to just build some trust and add real value to this community rather than just bank on one video popping off. Coincidentally, you're trying to build an audience, you're trying to build a community, and that's never ever built on sensationalism. It's built on credibility and just sustainable opinions, and that gives you sustainable growth. And again, I have to reinforce this because I'm pretty sure someone's gonna misunderstand it. I'm not saying don't be negative. I'm saying be critical, but don't be toxic. I'm recording a video right now studying some of the game design choices that I don't like that are making Rivals a pretty sloppy casual game and also a pretty sloppy competitive game. I'm arguing that it's kind of doing both and trying to do both, but also failing at both. I'm being critical instead of negative towards the game. I still have a lot of love for the game and I love covering it. I also feel like one other benefit of being a creator with integrity and credibility is the fact that the game studios do pay attention to a lot of the public narrative. If there are game features or design choices or matchmaking infrastructure or anything else that we're not happy with, if we cover this in a really intelligent, smart way and spur up really intelligent, smart dialogues within our comment sections, on Discord, within our own communities, that stuff gets noticed. It's easily one of the best ways to initiate change within a game and its community is by being pretty objective instead of being clickbaity. Which goes back to what I was talking about before. If you truly care about the game and you're not here to just trend hop, that's what you would do. My ultimate hope for you, the audience, is that you tend to reward content creators that prioritize objectivity over clickbait, and that's the kind of stuff you like. And I also hope that you genuinely challenge creators who just rely too heavily. We have enough of that in the game, trust me. What I want you to leave this video with is this understanding that every video that we make, every comment that you guys leave, every discussion that we all have on any platform out there just literally shapes the future of Marvel Rivals or whatever game we're into right now. The best thing we can do, and really the only thing we can do, and it's pretty hard sometimes, is just to commit to integrity, to honesty, and to respect each other in-game and also in comment sections and places where anonymity is really easy and a big shield. Because ultimately, the community is what makes the game actually playable and fun. If our community is great, it's so much easier to overlook some of the design choices and some of the glaring flaws that these games have. To pull the curtain back a little bit, my commitment to you guys and all the people that have been supporting me since I started making these videos is that integrity, honesty, and some sort of cringy entertainment value are always going to be present in whatever I create. I love what I do here, and I'm really not doing it for any metrics. I have a job. I fund this entire studio and everything that I've bought and built and invested into in order to do this, to have a creative hobby, to play the video games that I like, and most importantly, to just interact with fellow gamers and like-minded individuals. Can you tell I have no friends? That's what matters to me the most. I love this. I love playing Marvel Rivals. I like being in this hot, sweaty Deadpool mask. I love editing videos. I love designing this whole thing. It's not a green screen. It's real. Those are skateboards. I can't even skate. And as part of that, my whole aim is to be part of this community, to be somewhat of a voice, and to be a voice that's maybe funny, maybe hopefully smart, and just adds to all of us. But maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way, so my question is to you. What do you think? Drop a comment, and as always, maximum snark allowed, zero toxicity preferred.